listening to Behind the Flame. Here's your host, John Bartolo.
Thank you, Sam. I am super excited about today. I'm kind of jumping out of my pants here. We got the one and only Jason Sonju in the Dragon's Lair, hiding out behind the flame. We're coming to you live from the shop here in Kalispell, Montana. I want to take a minute to thank Melinda and Jason for helping pay the bills and keep everybody employed. And I want to thank everybody out on the shop floor for cranking out such beautiful rifles in the great state of Montana. I do want to take a minute to thank Wicked Cuts, too, for sending a whole bunch of jerky down, snacks. I know Melinda's been looking for the spicy stuff, and Austin's in the background snacking on stuff. We got plenty of them laying around. Melinda's trying to throw some at my face. But we're having a good time in here, and I want to thank Branch for that. That's a super generous box he sent over. I want to thank Jacob for running around doing a little IG Live. We're not going to be on IG Live for long. We're just kind of giving everybody a teaser. Head over to YouTube and Facebook and make sure you like and subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you make sure that you are getting the notifications when we do go live. We do have Melinda in the house, too. She may chime in from time to time. But I want to take a minute to thank Jason for coming in. So we're going to get deep into this. We're going to dive right in and talk a little bit about things and kind of how things started. And I think he's the right man to kind of bridge the gap before we go deep with Mel later on maybe, or on another episode. Maybe we'll get her to chime in. But I want to hear a little bit about the history of SI. And I know you have this, obviously it goes back to Jason's dad, and he has a passion for aerospace. And I look forward to kind of hearing some of the background and how this all came to be, and really the roots of where it started and where the passion began. I think the listeners want to hear. I think we want to get that story out there, and I know you share a huge intensity and drive for that stuff. So why don't you kick it off and tell me a little bit about the history of SI Defense?
Well, SI Defense is just a short term for Sonju Industrial. And honestly, when we first started building receiver sets, we had Sonju Industrial on there. And long story short, people thought it was a Asian knockoff. And I'm like, whoa, that can't be good. So I sat home one night, and it just said, hey, we got to change this name. And SI Defense, Sonju Industrial, and then we added defense onto it, and it stuck. It was a little long, but it was appropriate.
So tell me a little bit about your dad and kind of how this kind of came to be, and tell me a little bit about his history. I think that's something that would be near and dear to the listeners' hearts. I know I heard it in some of the places he's been and what he's done, and it all starts to make sense. Yeah,
when I first started working here back in 1996, I believe, it was just him. He's a Vietnam veteran. And after the war, he went on to trade school and learned how to be a collision repair specialist, painter. And, when I got here in 96, that's what he was doing. He was doing a lot of military painting and doing a lot of work for semiconductor. And I rolled in, and I just found out right then and there just what kind of man he really was. He got tremendous work ethic, and you see it today.
Oh, yeah, the guy works his ass off. I mean, he was in here Saturday and Sunday in the Cerakote room or the painting room and whatever we call it, the anodize, and he's in there in a hazmat suit. I don't even know half the time what he's doing. He's like one step away from passing out half the time. But you don't make guys like that anymore, and you just don't see it anymore. He's more or less kind of cut from a different cloth. And I think, more often than not, those guys, they're kind of forged. They're not born, and I think he was forged in, that work ethic just from the military and just kind of starting his own business from scratch. And I've had a lot of conversations with him, and just, he does it all with a smile, which is crazy.
Yeah, he really taught me everything I know about working. Some of it's good, obviously, and some of it's bad, and when I say bad, I say, he just had a way about him, old school way. And he just didn't put up with standing around. He didn't put up with people that weren't loyal. The hard work was everything, and his hours were everything. There was no such thing as rolling in at 8 o'clock and leaving at 5. You showed up when he told you to, and you went home when he told you to. And sometimes that ruffled feathers, but...
Oh, yeah. And, those guys back then, I mean, they demanded a lot of their employees, and that's how they got to where they are today. I mean, now it's like, everywhere you go, it's like a country club compared to what it used to be, Right. Everybody's got get some type of ass ache and they don't work through it. But that's a testament to him and the time. And then as time moved forward, he gets more and more into the firearm side. And how did we get from there to FALKOR? And I'm sure Melinda ties in at some point in this.
Right. So, we did auto body painting and collision repair for years, and that evolved into anodizing. We got into anodizing and plating, which then took us into machining, CNC machining, and then aerospace, and then SI Defense, and then ultimately into FALKOR. And that's all over the last 22 years. But those first early years were just grinding.
Right.
Every penny we made went to the business. Like any other business, you live paycheck to paycheck when you first start out. And you learn a lot from your mistakes, but one thing that my father and the family knew was we're very competitive people, and you just don't quit.
Right.
Times get tough, you just keep going.
Yeah,
So
there's no question. So then the idea of FALKOR is born somewhere along the lines there without getting into the year-over-year details. And, kind of take me through that idea of people want to know, how was the dragon born?
Well, I won't say how the name was born. I'll let Melinda, my wife, tell you that story. But
Sure.
I will say that Melinda came along, and she was awesome. She gave me the opportunity to extend the dream, to carry the vision per se. And so we sat down. We had a long conversation about this business and where we wanted to go and what we needed to do. And we ultimately bought my father and my mother out, and we assumed all of the aerospace, the firearms, and all of that. And so we're the sole owners now. And of course, my father comes here every so often and pitches in back there in the back.
Oh, yeah. And,
But-
we all know one of the hardest things to do, and I think all things considered, you guys have, Melinda and yourself have done it phenomenally, is transition a business to that second generation. Everybody knows how difficult, and I think that's a tremendously understated story in all this. Most businesses, as people know, struggle from generation to generation because they don't have a good succession plan and they don't advance. You guys have done it, phenomenally, in my opinion, and I'm really looking forward to where it goes. Which brings us to today, and Melinda will have her story. You guys, eventually we'll have Melinda on in long form, and I'm sure her take. We'll have a lot of her own input, and she'll chime in more on the FALKOR side. But I was really curious about SI, and I was glad that you were able to share that. And I think that going forward, with the roles that we play here, me as the CEO and you running the Sonju side and the production side, it kind of starts to stem into where do we go from here, and where does it go from here?
Well, it's ever changing. I mean, just this last 6 months has been massive. Sometimes day to day, you look at what you do around here, what the team does, and sometimes it can be way over your head. Like, what did we get done today? But when you look back over 6 months, there's been some huge changes here. Back in the SI Defense days, we were just basically an OEM manufacturer, building parts for others. And then when Melinda and I decided to get into this full time, that's when we came up with the name FALKOR and rebranded. And back then we had a great team as well. But, there's been obviously some changes around here since you showed up. There's been some different people added and some people have left. But long story short, that's with any business, so I always like to look forward. I'm always thinking way ahead where we need to go. And sometimes it's frustrating because you want to get there fast. And I've learned that you're only as fast as, the people around you, the machinery you have. So you have to be very patient.
Yeah, the bigger the company, it's like turning the Titanic in a bathtub. It can be a little difficult. So, when you have 5 employees, it's easy to pivot and change everything overnight. When you have 70 employees with families, with this, with that, it can be tremendously difficult. I mean, that can't be stated enough. With that all being said, Falkor's born, the dragon's out of the egg, and where it goes from here is really the sky's the limit. I know you want to take over the world, you know, and I think it's been a wild ride. I honestly will feel safe saying, and I'd like to get, maybe Mel's response on this. I think, especially the initial shot in the arm, I don't think you could have envisioned how much brand awareness you would get in that first 2 or 3 years. I think it goes without saying that it was like, boom, here's Falkor, and there was huge brand awareness initially, and that was a testament to the whole initial team and that first wave. What would you say to that?
It's true. I was very surprised by how quickly, Falkor came out of the
box.
Out of the blocks, and that was a testament to the people back then that were, making that wheel go. And it's a team effort. It's never one individual, but it exceeded my expectations. I was kind of surprised by it. Now, a lot of people argue, hey, the political environment was right, and you guys came out at the right time.
Who cares?
But you know what? There's a lot of work that goes behind that.
Yeah.
So, I mean. Today even, as things slow down in the industry, politics change, you have to have a robust brand. You have to continue feeding that monster. And it's a lot of work, as you well know. Yeah. I mean, you're in marketing yourself, so.
Timing's everything, but if you guess right, I'd rather be lucky than good. So, fuck the haters that say otherwise. Oh, the market was right,
Right.
So, I think you got shot out of a cannon, and I think it led us to here, and everything was kind of built and started around the Petra, which I know was kind of a baby of you guys, and kind of take me through that as the SKUs started to flesh out and the thought process. Why the 300 Win Mag? Was it just because you knew it'd make a big splash, or was it just something you were kind of like, geez, this is what I want to build around, and this made sense? And do you want to talk about where you came up with the name, or do you not want to?
Sure. So, the 300 Win Mag, it started a long, long time ago, way before Falkor, really. And it was me, my father, and my brother sitting around one day just discussing the AR platform. And if you take a look at it, there's, specific calibers and all, but we actually were talking about the 30-06, not the 300. And so we started designing. We started engineering, and we started testing, and long story short, that thing, there's a lot of rumors out there that, others were designing, but I will tell you with absolutely certainty, it started here. And, but when me and Mel took over, we perfected it. We redesigned it, came out with the 300 Win Mag. It was a big team effort. It took a lot of people to take a look at that platform. It's violent. There's a lot of gas in there, a lot of pressure, and to get it to run. And it exceeded my expectations. And, again, I like to give the credit to the team. So, it is a flagship. People think of Falkor. A lot of people will say that launched us. Maybe it did. I'll tell you that it took a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of grit to get that thing to run the way it does today.
It takes money to make it in the firearms business?
Oh, man, it takes a lot of money. It keeps me up at night. I used to think $1 million was a fair amount of money, and it is. And when you invest, it's a lot of money. But, when I take a look at what we've had to put into this place and what it takes to run an operation, it's frightening at times, and it is what it is. But, Mel came along, and she believes in this place, and she invested heavily into it. She continues to do so, and that's what it takes, and a lot of people, a lot of business owners in this industry will tell you. I hear it frequently. We're just talking to Glenn Seekins, just the other day, and the money that he has to throw out there to his organization to keep the doors open is big.
Even Dion at F1.
Yeah, Dion's like, hey, you want to buy my business? He's like,
he's like, if I could get out what I put in, right. I'd walk away now.
And he was sitting there telling me, he goes, where does it end?
Yeah.
It never really ends, to be honest.
No, it never ends. But what if you can get to that place where you've built something that's bigger than you, and that's the whole thing. It's a selfless act. Anytime you contribute to a team and to a brand, it's a lot like playing for the Celtics. You're no bigger than any one component's no bigger than the organization. That's the end of the day. It's always going to be the Celtics. It's just like here. No one person is bigger than FALKOR. Period. It's always going to be the brand first, and you're going to put the brand first in everything that you do, and that's the way that it should be when you work for somebody and you work with somebody, especially an organization like this. We try to make that loud and proud. We always say loud and proud out in front. So that logo on your chest when you played sports, you always said that comes first. That the team comes first. So regardless of your petty whatever crap goes on when you come in this office, everything that you're doing for that brand comes first. So I think that's tremendously important, and I know that you believe that as well. And now here we are. I come in and take over at the turn of the year, and I know for Mel and you, and I'll say it on record, it's been bumpy with me, to say the least. Right. I know I have my way of doing things, and I come in here with far from a Midwest attitude, far from a Southern hospitality. I'm from New England. I'm brash. I say what's on my mind. I tell people what I'm thinking. I'm not afraid to slide my game plan under another company's door and say, here's what I'm going to fucking do. Right. Go ahead and beat me. Right.
You talk about brand, and it is a team effort, but, I will tell you that there needs to be personalities. Our company is full of them. And in today's world of social media, you have to have them. And you're definitely a personality. And you're right. You came over here from Boston to Montana. It was probably a huge culture shock for you. You're a single dude and all, and, things are sparse for you. But, we can work on that later. But
I didn't mean the grunt the way you thought I meant it, but I was in agreement.
Right. But, one thing I do appreciate is, you took a risk. And a lot of people don't do that. I talk to a lot of people that want to go into business. I talk to people that are stagnant in their lives, and the first thing I ask is, well, do you take any risks? If you don't take risks, then you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think you have to take chances. So, we've transitioned a lot in the past year, and I know the brand, and I think Mel would agree, the first 4 or 5 months of me being here, we were relatively quiet. We were kind of doing a few things, but we weren't where we wanted to be, but we were working behind the scenes on a lot of different things, a lot of different ideas. And I want to say we were taking a little bit of that, everybody likes to say we do things with precision and everything's perfect. We were doing, the little bit of the shit against the wall to see what sticks, and we were doing a lot of analysis. But we came up with a lot of really good ideas along the way. And then, I think it was around Christmas time, Sam comes into the fold. And, now I got a guy who's been around the business a little bit. And, we start kicking these ideas around, and we start launching some new products, and we start getting some stuff out there to market. And I think, we're finally at that point, I would say, Jason, where we're starting to see some of the fruits of the first half of the year labor come to fruition. It's been bumpy, and there's a lot of ideas that end up on the shelf. In any company, I would think.
Right. It's really evolved. And if you're going to be in this for the long run, you have to set the things in motion now. And, bring in you and others here and developing out the processes, the products. We're always innovating here. It takes time.
Yeah.
But at one point, though, you have to just, you have to get to market with it. And you have to be able to get your rifles out there and tell the story. And that's what I think we do the best here is we have a great marketing team. People are always fascinated about what we're doing, where we're going. And I like that about this company, and we're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. Everybody who comes in here, they say the industry watches you guys. And, some of the things in this podcast being one format, and this YouTube and these lives and these behind the scenes, we want to give people an unprecedented look into what we're doing here and how we're ticking. It's, a little bit like a reality TV show, which sometimes, as we all know, kind of can fly off the rails and be tough to manage day to day. But I think we do it, we're doing it as good as well as we can, and we like to continue to bring the customer base, the fans, everybody that pays attention, what they want. And what they want to see is what makes a company tick? How do you get from A to B? How does someone design a firearm in this business? What are the things you go through? If it's not 1 minute we're running in the office and we're worried about packing for a show, it's the next minute we're worried about, some piece of legislation that got passed, and then the next minute we're worried about how we're getting lunch, and then the next minute it's how do we get something on the machine. It's always something in this building. And when when I got here, we were kind of, as everybody knows, we were kind of rebooting the team a little bit. And I'm amazed sometimes how far we've come. And I feel, like you always say, it's not quick enough. Everybody wants it like they want to wake up Monday morning and boom. But we've expanded the gun room. We've expanded Dracos as an infrastructure. We've expanded the sales room and got that realigned. And, we moved a lot of pieces, and even just moving bodies around, building walls, moving buildings around. I mean, people, I'm always pressing. I'll always press. I mean, I've been on a million podcasts and done, a million interviews. People know my routine. I'm up at 4 a.m., and that's going to stem into the next thing I'm going to talk about with you. And I'm willing to work till 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever it takes if need be. But, I usually hit a wall about 12 hours in because I'm so high energy. I don't like to be in when I'm low energy. I like to keep it flying. But we've come a long way. And I know you're a routine-driven guy, so let's kind of stem into that. Almost more than I am, which makes it scary. And I know guys like us are incredibly difficult to be around because of that. I don't shy away from it. I'm very aware. And if anyone's familiar with Branch or Guy Cisterino or some of the other pushers in this business and around this business, if you're going to get where you want to be, if you want to do something that's never been done, you have to be willing to. If you want to get somewhere you've never been, you have to be willing to do something you've never done. So you have to really push and press. And I always say, I tell Jacob this ad nauseum, if you want to sleep more, just sleep faster, like Arnold says. So what do you say to all the people that what do you say about your routine and kind of how that's helped you in getting where you need to be?
I think routine is huge, not just for me or you or Branch or Tony or any of our other folks that we hang out with. It sets the tone. I'm a very competitive person, and I want to win. I want to be the best at what I do. And sometimes, it takes that routine. It takes dedication, whether it's business, whether it's your personal life, whatever it is. So for me, I'm like you. I'm real early up in the morning, 4 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m. I get up, I have breakfast, I go to the gym, I do my cardio, I lift weights, and I'm at work. And I show up here and I leave typically 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then it doesn't stop. You have phone calls and emails you got to do at night. So if you're going to be a business owner, if you're going to be an executive or any of that, that's what it takes. There's no shortcuts.
None. And I know, winning is a big theme of yours, and we always talk about, themes and these different types of casts that we do and what's people's theme and what shapes them. Everybody knows my theme. I'm a New England guy. I come from the Patriot way. I live by the expect nothing, blame no one, and do your job philosophy. I don't care about what anybody else is doing, and I keep me moving forward. All I've ever heard in this business is they're like, John, you just keep going forward. I don't care. You can pretty much burn my house down. I'm going to keep going forward. It doesn't matter. And Melinda almost burnt the house down this morning, so that was a little hat tip to her. Supposedly there was some eggs involved if you saw the pre-show, but anyway, we'll get to that later. But that's my philosophy, and I know training is a huge part of FALKOR's ideology. It has been going back, to previous administrations being in here. Training will always be the bedrock. I've always felt and still feel, if you look good, you feel good, you're going to play good, and if you look the part, it's going to work and it's going to flow. There's not a person that doesn't come through our building or our office and they say, all you guys look like you work out. All you guys look like you're training. Or like, what should I eat? Or what should I do? Well, I mean, we're looking at Sam. We're working on him though. I think he's up to 10 push-ups maybe. So it's kind of one of those. Maybe he's giving me the finger. So it's one of those things that's always been near and dear to our heart in having guys in here that have the training and have the backgrounds and have the expertise in the different areas. And I look at them all as SMEs. If I want to ask a former sniper, I can go down the hall and ask a former sniper. If I want to ask an engineer, I can ask you. If I want to, and you're probably the worst combination, an engineer with a routine that doesn't break for anybody. That's the worst. But it's kind of one of those things. We kind of training has always been a huge part of the FALKOR ideology and the FALKOR way. And I've been sitting, and one of the things I rack my brain about as I get into month 8, 9, 10 of being here is you start to say, what's the Patriot way? What's the FALKOR way? And I think at any company, you ask those questions. You know, we're in that stage where I feel, Jason, it's time we shape that narrative of what is our way. And, you know, I know in the past there's been, you know, I'll be very honest, there's been some fuckery and some stuff and some things. You know, I want to shape a FALKOR way that everybody in the industry can look at and say, I want to hang out with those guys. I don't know much about them, but they seem like a solid crew and I want to hang out with them. And, you know, I think that's how I feel. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. You know, in my opinion, I mean, everybody has their own philosophy when it comes to their personal lives and what motivates them, what gets them to do what they do. You know, you and I, from a young age, you know, we played sports, we're athletes, we went on to play college football. That was ingrained in me. And working out has never ceased. It brings me a sense of clarity. It lets me get my stress out. But you're right. It brings so many other things to your regiment, you know. Discipline is a huge one. You know, and I see people struggle in that area in their lives. They don't have the discipline. Well, you know, it's just doing it. Well, I don't have the time, or I don't have the patience, or I'm busy. I got this, I got that. You do got the time. It's whether or not you want to put the work in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to, and I know, you know, I've said this in the past to people, you know, you want to have people that are laser focused. I mean, we deal with this every day with even people like Jacob in the sales room. I mean, he gets so laser focused, and that's a good thing. You know, I mean, you have to just manage that and as a, you know, in that position. But I think having a laser focus to achieve a goal, to get from A to B, is truly important. And I think it's been a huge part of my life that I just kind of put the blinders on and I just say, okay, you know, no matter what happens, I'm going to keep going forward. And I think it's important to do that. You have to turn the page on a lot of things. And that leads into innovation. And I know innovation here is another thing. We talk about training, but I know constantly being different. And I know when the Petra hit the scene, it was like, okay, that's something different, you know, especially the way it was designed and the receivers and just the handguards, everything was very different. What fuels the innovation here? What's the kind of the thing, the ingredient that sticks out in innovation that kind of like you're like this, you know, is it like you watch a commercial and you're like, well, I want to try that? I mean, what fuels that?
You know, it's being the best. You know, I think if you're not innovating, you're stagnant. You know, so when I think about what we've done here and where we need to go, it's constantly innovating. And sometimes you innovate and it never goes to market. And that's disappointing, but you'll learn so much along the way. So, you know, our fans demand, you know, certain things from FALKOR. And they demand great products. They demand new stuff. But, you know, when you look at the AR, there's only so much. I think the last 5 years, if everything was not thought of, it's thought of now. There's only so much you can do. So what else is there? You know, so FALKOR is starting to take jabs at different things. A lot of things that the public doesn't know about. You know, we do things here behind the scenes, quietly working on the future. And I can tell you right now that there's some really, really cool stuff that we're working on that I'm excited about. I think the team's excited about. But we also got to keep what we're doing today relative. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves and forget about our daily grind, and sometimes that's hard for me as a business owner because I've already conquered the innovation side. Now, from your side, you're like, man, I still need my stuff today. I got customers that want our products, so it's a good cycle to have. But you know, innovation for me and for Melinda has always been a key asset for this company.
And I've always, you know, in my time here, I've kind of taken the company. It's not a secret with the release of the Standard and the new Blitz and Rush 2.0. I'm trying to get more into the practical. And a lot of what I'm saying when I look at things is, does this make sense? Is what we're doing making sense? And I was super excited to see us launch our first rifle under $2,000. which I thought was a huge step for this company, because I know Mel always wants to have the Gucci and the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, and that's awesome.
See, that's just it.
Yeah,
the standard for me
she
is...
wants to set that
Well, you said the
tone.
standard. I'm like, the standard? I'm thinking of some space gun. I'm thinking way ahead here. You're talking about 1966, the standard AR. Well, we have a little bit of bells and whistles, but I'm proud of that rifle, to be honest. I didn't think I would be. But taking it out and working with it and...
You son of a...
you guys putting that together was actually a genius thing to do. Why don't you tell me about why did you come up with that?
So I think it's safe to say the standard was born out of an idea of actually me and Mel kind of and eventually Sam chiming in. We're all kind of sitting around, and Mel will always be like, we don't want to come out with anything. We're not doing it cheap. We're going to do it first class the whole way. We're going to do it right. And it's that voice is huge in the room. There's
Standard was still done that way. It's still first class.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Sam gets passionate.
I'm really proud
Sam
of
has
that
some
guy.
involvement. He has some deep involvement, so he's passionate about it. So we're going to get to Sam.
Sorry.
Sam and his passion.
I'll shut up
So
now.
we were sitting around, and I think Branch was in the room or something. We were all kind of talking about it, and I think it was Branch who said, well, Mercedes still has a C-class, Mel. Like, come on, like, we can do this. It can be a gateway drug. And I was more or less, in the thinking of, we had so much demand for people who wanted to buy the brand and be a part of the brand. And I wanted to deliver them something that made sense, and that was a practical rifle that we could use for military, for law enforcement, because we all know at the end of the day, to get rifles in those guys' hands, they're looking for something that's really appropriately priced and aggressively priced. A lot of people in this business come into it and they think the way to riches is military and law enforcement contracts. And it can be, but that's a very tough road to hoe to go down, especially starting out. So, I thought it made sense. I think you thought it made sense. And I know in the time that I was running the marketing and I was still in New Hampshire, and the lowers started getting made, and kind of we were looking at it, and then I took a weird upper in the back when I got here, slapped it on a lower, and I said it could look something like this. And then Rob got involved, and you were chiming in, and all Melinda was yelling, saying, make sure it looks good. If it doesn't look good, nobody's gonna buy it. So it has to be first class. And then Sam came along, and Sam was kind of starting to procure some of the parts and looking at how we could deliver something, and he had some input, and especially with putting on sites and making sure we were giving that value add. And I think what we wanted was something out of the box that just made sense. And that was kind of where that whole theme of, look, Jason, I get it. Mel wants a Ferrari that's going to go 0 to 60 than anything else on the market. But please, let's just kind of do this one thing.
It's the Porsche Boxster to the rest of our product line.
And I think for the average end user that wants something that they can really run, and we want to get into that game where we want to compete with that $1,500 to $1,800 market. That's a market. You don't want to go down that road of just producing something that's unattainable. That's you can't get your hands on. So I think that's a really good dynamic that Mel and I have in many ways. I really do. I think I'll always press for, the simple, hey, Sam, we just need guns that we can shoot on the range and throw in the mud, and and this and that. And then she'll press back with, yep, we can get a Sprinter, John, but it's going to have, Gucci curtains, and it's going to be all that. So it's good to have that dynamic,
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it is good. It's very healthy. And then there's you in the middle, Jason, being Switzerland. So it works out really well. But that was kind of born out of some of those talks, in my opinion, and that's kind of where it stemmed into. But I one thing I've always agreed with Mel on, I don't want to be a shop that sells just upper or lower receivers and just cranks out receiver sets. That's something that I never wanted to be a part of. I don't want to, be that space. But I think the Blitz and Rush 2.0 was kind of more of a simpler thing. I think we just all looked at it and we were just like, all right, it's time for a change. It needs a smaller handguard. Right. And the Blitz and the Rush was a huge innovative design. I want to go on record with that. I mean, there was a time in the gun industry where everybody wanted those fat handguards, and they wanted the ability to encase it in a suppressor. And then, the industry kind of flipped, and braces became the thing, and nobody was buying SBRs. And, we just didn't pivot and do an audit of what we were doing, as fast as we probably should have. But I think when we did, we were able to come together with something that was really pleasing and that made a lot of sense. Again, I'll always come back to that theme of making sense and just designing a pistol that everybody wants with the right braces. And, Sam again chimed in with some of the input on what was going to make sense on that rifle, that pistol rather, sorry. ATF purposes. Yep. Let me use
Not
the right nomenclature.
Not a rifle.
So, get that right. And I think, that's a theme you'll see reoccurring with me. As you're innovating on your side, Jason, I'm going to be pressing back and saying, let's keep doing things that I think make sense. And I like doing some fun stuff too. I mean, in my dream, I'd love to do like a 10.5-inch, Petra pistol. That would make
you never know what you're going to see.
That would make no sense. Or we can stem into a crazy lever action. Who knows? We'll get weird here. But absolutely. I mean, I think that's tremendously important to have balance in the room when you're making changes and doing things. So the Standard was definitely something that I'm proud of. I mean, we couldn't keep them on the shelf. We launched them. They sold out. I know you're working feverishly to get more of them up, and I think we're going to have a real nice run with that, and I really hope the customers enjoy it, and the feedback is definitely welcome from you guys. But we kind of there's no frills in that rifle. We put a ballistic advantage barrel, radian selector, and it's got everything, right?
It's got everything you need, and it's nothing like over the top. It's got really good quality components where it counts: the barrel, the bulk carrier group, the receiver set, the free float rail. And it's got those value-added components, the QDN plate, the sights, the nice grip, the nish stock, the good muzzle brake on there.
And we're doing black guns now. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're doing a lot of black guns. We'll still do some fancy, fancy schmancy stuff, but I want to get us back into that space of this is going to make sense. So where do you see Falkor in 5 years? Don't give the Mel where do you see it? Mel will have her own answer. Where do you see it?
It's okay to have a different answer.
Yeah, it's okay to have a different answer. Everybody's going to have I have a different one than you guys. That's for damn sure. But, I mean, we're all going to have a different vision, and kind of where we want to see things.
That's a loaded question, honestly.
I know.
Based on the last 6 months, 7 months here, maybe the last year, seeing the changes and us really maturing now as a company, we're in this for the long haul. So I see, as much as we innovate here and as much as we are passionate about what we do here, I'd be very surprised if we're not, 3 or 4 times the size of what we are, or could be, if that's what direction we want to go. I think Falkor can be as big as it wants to be. And I say that humbly. I don't say that to be cocky or arrogant. I just think that if you build a great platform, you have great people, a great brand, you can set, those bars high. So, where I want to be personally, I don't want to be so huge where you get disconnected inside your organization, where there's so many people you don't recognize their names, you don't see them every day. I don't want to get that big, but big enough where the name FALKOR Defense comes out, people are like, yeah, I know who they are. And they're right up there with top-notch brands. When you're involved in conversations from other brands that are high-end brands, I can't begin to tell you how rewarding that is to hear. And, we are. And now you're up there, you have to be able to perform week in and week out, and it's tough. You have problems every day at business. You have to come up with solutions. You have turnover. You have politics. You have all these tangibles that you have to deal with. So are they going to get in the way of your growth? Yes, they will. But, that's where, our regiment, that's where our discipline from how we do things in our life overcomes that. You got to have a supporting team. Melinda is very supporting. As my wife, she backs me up. She has my back. She's my sounding board at times. Sometimes she's my whipping post. I mean, I come home and unload on her, and it's not easy for someone like that to handle with a guy like me. So, honestly, we get down to how big. I guess that's my short answer.
It's a good one.
That wasn't that short.
It wasn't that short. No, I think you hit on a few key points. I think no company wants to be disconnected from the floor. When you look at other companies out there that have grown in size and they have multiple locations, your Berettas, even your 6 Hours, your Glocks, some of these companies, and we look and you don't want to ever become disconnected from the folks on the floor. That's why we do a lot of things. We're trying to desperately implement things and stick to them, like things like regularly scheduled barbecues and regularly scheduled events where we're just spending time with the team. And if you deal with those gripes or those issues at the point of attack and you deal with them immediately, you have a better chance of fixing them, in a timely manner. I am constantly saying to everybody in the room and everybody I deal with, a good plan executed now is better than a great plan executed later. Deal with the issue now, fix it. You've constantly heard me say this in the room, everybody stop walking around making faces, just get in a room and fucking fix it. Fix it, whatever the issue is. And that's how you keep a company moving forward. You're going to have your fights. Lord knows, Melinda and I have gone at it and almost gone to blows a few times. But you just have to fix it, and that's kind of the theme I try to drive home. I'm like, whatever we do, when we walk out of this room, let's have a solution. There are days I've looked at Sam and I'm like, you're a fucking asshole, fix it, just get it done. And
Right.
you kind of, and I know everybody wants to hear the HR response, well, we got in a boardroom and there were lab coats. That doesn't happen anywhere, no matter where you are. Sometimes you just have to get stuff done. And at the end of the day, when you're operating a business and you're trying to turn, as I always say, the Titanic in a bathtub as quickly as possible, you're trying to get to a spot. And trying to get to that spot, sometimes it's not going to be pretty if you want to move fast. And we always, like every company have our issues. But being a guy who grew up in New England, I'm a student of the old gun industry. I grew up going to 6 Hour as a kid, going to the academy, visiting up there, training up there. I grew up going to old stodgy skeet and trap ranges in Andover, Massachusetts, and kind of going around and kind of visiting Colt and visiting Smith and Wesson and working closely with some of the newer companies that had come on the scene like Troy and Breakthrough and Enforce and different brands that I had been associated with through the years and done a lot of kind of things behind the scenes that nobody knew anything about. And I was traveling around and I was doing all this stuff. I really liked what was going on out here, and I thought FALKOR was very progressive. Albeit, when I got out here, I think everyone had that, that kind of Midwest attitude, and you were one of the great people to kind of work with because you had a similar attitude as me. You're like, right now, but sometimes you were a little too fast. Believe it or not, I do know how to exercise patience a little bit, and I was kind of like, okay, where do we want to be next year? Where do we want to be the year after? And where do we want to be 3 years from now? And, one thing, we talk about balance a lot in the building, having a balance to kind of have a vision that's a manageable vision that makes sense, that shows where we can get to without having to end up alone and nobody wants to be with us because we're trying to go so frantically and go so far off the rails. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things wrong. The marketing may never be perfect, but before you kind of implement something, you don't want to play so fast that you can't control it. So, for me, and I'll answer the question myself, 5 years from now, I'd like to see FALKOR be one of the most viable players in the firearms industry that's known for bringing together not only great firearms, but also great media and great marketing. And I think if we do that and we do that effectively and we do it better than everybody else, we'll have a leg up on every brand out there just from the standpoint of trying to deliver a message. Mm-hmm. What are we all about? Right. And I think that's really important. I think you have a lot of older firearms companies out there that are afraid to get in front of the camera, afraid to do things like this because they're just so corporate and there's so much red tape. That's not a fault of theirs. It's just kind of where they're at. And there's 17 HR hoops they got to jump through, and there's 97 pieces of paperwork. The benefit here is if we can do it, we do it a lot of times with approval. Now, I think we can get to the spot faster, and I've always said this, speed kills. So if you get there and you're fast enough to the spot, Melinda gets mad at me sometimes because she likes to be secret squirrel. But I don't care. I will give anyone my game plan. It's like Pat Riley used to say, I'll slide my game plan under another company's door. And I think you would do the same, Jason. Here's what we're going to do. It's not a secret. If you pay close attention, it's not really a secret. But, you know, it's kind of a catch me if you can. Get there if you can. If you do, it stimulates competition. If it stimulates competition, then fine. You know, I'm all for that. Let's go at it. I think we have the most dynamic personalities. I believe in the players we have here. And if I thought otherwise, I would be trying to say, oh, let's just kind of sneak up on them. I'm not all for sneaking because I'm 250 pounds and I'm too damn fat. I'm not going to sneak around. So
I need to do more cardio.
Yeah, I got to do more cardio. So
less donuts.
No donuts is in tomorrow. So we'll have that. But I think you're absolutely right. If 5 years from now we're in a place where we all can be proud and we all can show that growth, and I think the sky's going to be the limit from there. And I just want to deliver a new experience, an interactive experience, because one of the stigmas in the firearms business is everybody thinks, oh my God, they're in the firearms business. It's a gun. It's going to go off. But there's real people, there's real personalities, and at the end of the day, most of your gun stores are owned by some of the best red-blooded Americans you'll ever come across in your life. And we represent them, and we try to give them the best products that they can own. And by and large, your gun owners are some of the best people on the planet. And I want to deliver to them, the new generation of gun owners, what they're looking for, which is, what is Jason thinking? Oh my God, I really love Melinda. We want to see a cooking show with Melinda. People message us and they say, we want to see cooking with Mel. It's nothing about full auto mag dumps in a desert. It's nothing. They just want to kind of see the personalities and get to know them. And I think that a lot of companies kind of get lost in that, and they're lost in the sauce a little bit. They're like, oh, I got to take the cool photo, with my 5'11" pants on, and I got to be, all that stuff. There's no personality in that. There's no. Everybody likes to look at a good-looking guy or a sexy chick, but I think people want to get to know the people and the players, and they want to meet them at the shows, and they want to talk to them, and they want to be involved. Which kind of leads me, to the next thing. Why is media so important in this business? Do you have a theory? I know media's always been near and dear to yours and Melinda's heart. You guys have growing IG accounts and social media and all these different bells and whistles that other owners don't have. Why was it something so early on that was important to you?
It's a double-edged sword for a question. I've always had mixed feelings about the social media side of things. There's times where I'm very private, and there's times where I'm not. And I think social media has been a game changer, and I think it's going to be a game changer going forward for businesses. And I believe that businesses that don't adapt to this, and really adapt, they're going to be in trouble. And when things get tough, when things get tight out there, the first thing people do is pull back on marketing. And I don't think we've ever done that. One thing that I will tell you about our marketing, it's we have personalities, but we have a great team. And I think we do a great job of showing the world who we are behind the scenes here. We're real. I think social media can, it can, I guess, let me put it this way. You can be anybody you want, up to the point where these people finally meet you, and if you're not what you look like or what you sound like on social media, then it's fake.
And they won't even believe your actual brand at that point, too.
Right.
So you guys are we're creating a real experience about real people.
Yeah. We bring in people here, and the first thing they say is, man, you guys are what you are. Mm-hmm. We have flaws, we have weaknesses, we have outstanding qualities too, but what you see is what you get. And you got to go out and market your products. Yeah, you got to dress up and wear your costumes and stuff like that, showcasing your stuff. And
that's my line.
You got to do that. I understand that. And as business owners, me and Mel do that. Are we the staunch, out on the range every day doing all that stuff? Of course not. And I don't think we try to do that. And we're business owners. We have our own lives. We have kids. We have other things that we want to do outside of business. But back to marketing, I believe that, marketing for us is going to be huge. Whether we're releasing new platforms, building the brand out, showcasing our employees or other awesome companies, We have to do it, and I think we're doing a great job doing that.
Yeah, and I think one of the dynamic things at FALKOR is everybody knows this. In the past, marketing has been something where it's been kind of in a little bit in a closet with companies. There's like one person who has access to all the accounts, and we're only going to have one person be able to chime in. I mean, shit, if you do a post, you know who posted it. So if somebody posts something that is inappropriate, you just fire them. But I like to have a lot of people that have access to the platforms because I want different things out there. I want, if one of our employees is out there on the range, they can put something up or they can show that experience and share that experience. I want to bring out a lot of the different dynamic personalities. I think in the past, and I'm not, picking on any one situation or thing. A lot of companies, you got a dose of one personality in a company, and it wasn't just at FALKOR. It was at a lot of places, and it kind of turns into, I think you have to get a lot of your employees out there, and you have to talk about them, and they have to share their FALKOR experience, good, bad, or indifferent. And I think, here one of the more dynamic things we're going to do is we're going to continue to push into spaces with marketing that people have never really been. I don't want to give you a heavy dose of just me. I don't want to be like, well, I'm the CEO, and you're going to see pictures of me every day, and if I'm in a bar, I'm having a drink, I'm going to take a picture of that. I don't even drink, but I'm going to post that up, and I'm going to talk about, how great I am and everything else, and woohoo, or you're going to get a heavy dose of Melinda every day. Well, I mean, most people probably wouldn't mind that, but, going to get a heavy dose of Sam or this one or that one. That's not what we want to do. Yes, we have some faces here. We have some people that we've brought on, subject matter experts, Tony, Ian, some other folks that can help give us some understanding of what's going on the ranges, in the trainings, everything else. And at least once or twice a year, we try to get out to those guys and support those guys and spend a little time on the range so we can see and we can get the feedback. But by and large, media is tremendously important in shaping the conversations that you want to have and the conversations and dialogue that you want to create. And I think anytime you can have some control over the airwaves, you can control your message.
Right.
And if your message is one of, hey, I want to be, sloppy, then be sloppy. And you want to send that message out there. But if you want to be organized and have your shit together and be, squared away, that's the message you can give. And it can be real if it's real, especially if you're going live now with all the avenues. I will tell you right now, and I've said it over and over again, media is continuously changing. It is all going to video. It is all going to audio. It is all going to platforms where people can be interactive. If you are just a paper tiger that was able to take pictures and was able to only do one-dimensional media, then you're not a 5-tool player, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work for you where it's going because it's all going to a reality TV show. You're going to be able to go on your computer or your TV. You can do it now on smart TVs. You can search a name, and you're going to be able to watch everything. And would you rather watch a program or flip through pictures? So the days of the guy just having the operator beard and the costume, like you said, and just holding a rifle, and they have no personality whatsoever, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
It's not, and those are great points, and something we've always agreed on is the direction of the marketing. When we first started out, we did a great job getting the brand out there. Now we've evolved. And I believe that people look not only just at your products, but they want to look at you as a company. Do I want to be part of that brand? Do I like what they're doing? Do I like where they're going? And I think that's what's missed. And if anyone came here and walked around and saw what we do here and the effort that's in it and all the details and the people involved, not just the owners, the CEO, but the guys on the shop floor, the guys that are deburring parts or anodizing and painting and whatever. That's all their marketing. It's real. And what do we do outside of this place? You and I work out, we go shooting, we go hunting, we do all these other things. We eat a lot. We have fun, So, the culture we want to build around here, it ties directly in our marketing is, we want a positive workplace. Obviously, we want passionate people. We don't want negativity. We don't want any of that anymore.
And I think it's all who you surround yourself with. I think you look at the FALKOR circle and how it's evolved and the folks that are involved with the circle. It's tremendously important to have people around you. What's the age-old saying? If you want to be a millionaire, you hang with millionaires. You want to be a billionaire, you hang with billionaires. If you want to be successful, you hang around successful people. If you want to be smarter, hang around with people smarter than you. And you're sure as shit going to learn a lot in a short period of time. So, there's a time when to, and a lot of our guys know this well, to be quiet and pay attention attention and kind of, you know, and I like putting as many SMEs as I can around us all the time. It's like one of the things, you know, we've been slapped with, you know, the last, you know, few months is, oh, why bodybuilding? I can tell you exactly why. You know, those people lead very regimented lives. They're squared away. They have their shit together. And I'll tell you right now, if people think the firearms industry is just, you know, your law enforcement and military, it is not. It is not. You are living and this is, you know, Sam's nodding his head. That's coming from a former Marine Corps guy. It is not. It is absolutely not, and I will tell you that. It is much more than that. It is every individual out there that wants to have a concealed carry permit, that wants to hunt, that wants to, you know, be a part of the NRA. You cannot be one-dimensional. You cannot.
Yeah, I've had a lot of you know, friends of mine in the industry that don't quite understand what exactly we're doing. Here, have reached out and said, you know, what's the deal with all that stuff? And I explain exactly, you know, the understanding that I've come to being a part of the team, that, you know, what we're trying to do transcends the firearms industry. We're trying to get more people from more spheres and other, you know, areas of interest into what we're doing so they can, you know, become a part of it, so we can expand this community even larger. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. You know, it's who you know, you said it best, John. It's who you surround yourself with, the people around you, your partners, your vendors, your suppliers. You know, the firearms industry is, as big as it is, it's a small group, really, in the scheme of things. And, you know, who you align yourself with, who you hang out with, is hugely important. I mean, you can crush a brand or build a brand. You know, I personally hang around those who challenge me. I'm very competitive. I'm very stubborn in my ways, and I need strong individuals. I need alphas. I need people that will challenge me, tell me I'm wrong, and push me, you know. And I think as a company, you know, I've done that here with a lot of people. A lot of people can't handle that kind of stress or pressure of moving forward. Because I'll be honest with you, John, there's companies out there that want to kick our ass, that want to beat us, that want to out-hustle us. And so, you know, I've always known this. And so I don't want a mentality, nor my team, to have, we're going to get outworked. No, we're going to outwork our competition.
Well,
and,
I think,
you know, I think that's huge.
I think it comes down to, you know, the theme that I always spit to our team constantly. And people, there's two things I'm going to answer, and I will go on record and answer the bodybuilding or fitness or whatever genre you want to pick. I tell our team every week, Sam's heard me say it over and over again, stop finding me the old Google, start finding me the new Google. I'm tired of the same old shit in a different pile. Stop showing me the same old marketing. I do not want to put a FALKOR in someone's hands if they're going to roll out in BDUs with 47 gussets and a costume on and take a photo. It's tired. Everybody's seen it. By and large, that is not the large percentage that go to the range. It just isn't. And our rifles cater to everyone, not any one market segment. Sorry. That's just the way it is. Bodybuilding and fitness and training and all those things go hand in hand. Let me say this. Anytime you bring a new genre into something, it's going to scare people. Okay, anytime you bring, you know, you start talking about bringing, you know, oh, dirt bikers want to shoot guns or motocross guys want to shoot guns. Everybody in this industry has a way of eating their own, and they want to pick them apart. Oh, you know, they're not this enough, they're not that enough. They heard me say this over and over and over again. There is no other industry, and for me it's a greater purpose. There's no other industry that we can take firearms into that it's so widely accepted. And a lot of those folks, they love to shoot guns. They have a passion for what they do. They love to participate in the sport of shooting. You look right down the line, Branch, all those guys, every single one of them, they all love the sport. They grew up hunting, or they grew up fishing, or they grew up doing this and doing that. And this is about putting more bodies in the fight. It's not necessarily a selfish one, which I know, I mean, you guys would probably like me to have, which is let's sell more FALKORs. It absolutely is. But it's a greater mission, too. Let's expand this thing. We need more bodies in the fight here. At the end of the day, to stay in this battle, we need to bring that industry in. And they also represent a huge market segment that also does happen to bring in a lot of money. And I don't know anybody that doesn't work out. I don't know anybody at some point in their life that doesn't go to a gym. Sorry if we do it better than everyone else in the gun industry. I apologize.
Even I've been in a gym before.
Lies.
I mean, right.
But it's on. I mean, I'm not trying to light fires with that statement. But walk around your office and ask. You know, I'll challenge any firearms company. Walk around your office and ask how many of them go to the gym. I'm sure they all do.
But, you know, a lot of people ask, John, or if they're wondering right now, like, why is that important? I mean, maybe they say maybe we're not like you. We don't want, we have other passions. So why don't you speak to that?
It's a derivative of training, and either you're trained or you're untrained, period. Mm-hmm. If you're going to take a tool like a firearm is, and whether you're going to hunt or camp or do whatever it is with that tool, you need to be trained, period. I cannot go out and hunt and harvest the animals that Melinda did without training. That would be a slap in the face to her if I said, you know what, Melinda, I could go get all those animals tomorrow. I couldn't. Just like people can't go and do what I've done on the range the last 7-8 years, training with SEAL guys, with Tony, with all these different dudes all over the place, Dom Rosso, ninjas, whatever, all these different people in places I've been, in places I've trained. It takes a lot, just like I couldn't do what maybe Sam's done. It's just you're either trained or you're not trained, period. And I take a hard line with that, because would you hire someone that had no training? No.
Probably not.
Probably not. So I think, people just need to take a look in the mirror, and either it's a part of their life or it isn't. But I'm sure they're trained somewhere in their life. Right. You can be a really good drinker, a really well-trained drinker.
Oh, my God.
They call them functioning alcoholics. They're well-trained. So you're either trained or you're not trained. And that's my philosophy on it.
We just prefer the healthy habits.
Yeah, I just prefer a healthier habit. I mean, I'm a guy who leads a very strict lifestyle and a very regimented lifestyle. I'm not a monk. I'm not somebody who doesn't have a life, period. But I'm just a guy who's going to keep coming at you and keep doing what he does. And my philosophy has always been, my formula works unless you show me a better one. But if you don't have a better one, I'm going to stick to mine. So you better show me one that works and one that makes sense. But I think, a lot of people get caught up in this, well, it's not for me, or it's not a part of my lifestyle. That's fine. But, not to be cliche, but what are you passionate about? Because if you don't have a passion in life and you're not passionate about something and you don't convey that passion, to me, that's a pretty sad life. Right. I don't care if you're passionate about cooking. I can tell Melinda's passionate as hell about cooking, because when you go there and you eat, you enjoy the fucking food so much that you're taking some home, you're putting it in your pockets, and you're trying to hide it. But you can see the passion that comes out. I don't care if you're passionate about makeup. I don't care. I definitely know Melinda's passionate about shoes. That's a guarantee. But, I don't care what it is. I know right. Sam has a huge passion for the industry. When I talked to him, we were joking the other day, he has almost like a libertarian type viewpoint on everything. He's hardline about it. And I love that. But have a passion.
I think we get along and work well together because we're different, and because we're also, this sounds so cliche, because we're also the same but also very different.
Yeah, I mean...
oh, man, I'm sorry.
So, do you want to start over?
I know. But never mind, just forget I said that.
But I think you have to respect people's differences. Now, the passion may not always be in the gym. It may not be that type of training. But shit, I want my graphics guy to be the most passionate dude about graphics ever. If he says, I ain't going to go to the gym, but I'm taking a graphics course, I'm going to be like, you go, girl. You just do that. Right. You focus on that. Like, you want your guy downstairs on the machine to be like, you know what, Jason, I'm taking 47 CNC courses this weekend. I'm not going to make it to the gym and my diet sucks. You'd be like, keep doing what you're doing. Right. So I think you have to have that passion. Derrick is, a train wreck when it comes. D. Mitchell Designs is a train wreck when it comes to the gym. He is an absolute train wreck. But, he fills our head with false lies and innuendo about making it to the gym. I'm going to be there tomorrow. Everything's tomorrow morning. He should have been in Annie, in the show Annie. He should, tomorrow.
But I think, that's a great point, and I think that's, from a marketing standpoint, that's where we attack. We try to identify certain passions, whether it's hunting, bodybuilding, working out, whatever it is. And, I think that coexistence is there. And I've always challenged my marketing team. I want the best marketing team. I believe so passionate that marketing is going to be so huge in our industry that we have to be very mobile. We have to be in the game in all aspects. And, I'm challenging them right now, right on this podcast. There are other companies out there. There are other people out there that really want to kick our ass. And either you're going to get your ass kicked or you're going to do the kicking yourself. So, what do you think about that?
They're going to need a bigger boat.
Good luck.
That's the standard New England answer. So, we're kind of chugging along. I think we're a little over an hour now. Any questions come in? Anybody chime in on the airwaves here, Sam?
Lots of people hanging out, coming in and out. Lots of guys that we're good friends with.
All right.
Just saying hi.
Oh, nice.
Mostly,
Want to shout any of them out?
Yeah, man. Clint Hansen joining us for the
Clint.
podcast. Stuart Yeager.
Very nice.
Stewie.
Yeager Solutions. Eli popped in for a minute. Crossover to another industry. My buddy Troy, who works with S&S Cycle. I'm in motorcycles. He's watching here.
Shout out.
So yeah.
Shameless. Yeah,
Sorry.
Clint Hansen at Ballistic Advantage. For those of you listening, he has a hand in our standard. He's got his barrel in there. I'm excited about working with him. Clint and I have been friends for a really long time, so I'm pumped about that. Shout out to Stuart Yeager, Yeager Solutions. They do a great job kind of managing the media for multiple brands out there in the industry. If you guys have any questions and you're on the live, we'll probably be going over the last couple of questions we have between each other, and don't hesitate to ask them. Send them in, and Sam will raise his hand and chime in. So we surround ourselves with all these great people. We're doing all this media. We're pushing in all these directions. We're doing all these wonderful things. We're always making sure we're eating, and we're always making sure we're training, and we're doing all this awesome stuff. Now, kind of, how do you want to see this play out? How do you want to wrap this up? I mean, with the podcast and everything else, give us a little insight into your vision. Give us a sneak peek behind the curtain, and tell us kind of what you're thinking the next 6 months will look like.
Honestly, it has to be well-rounded. You have to make outstanding products first, and then your marketing has to be at par or better. They gel. We talked about this the other day. You can have the great product and you can have no marketing and you can't get your products out the door.
Can't get it to market.
But, a lot of people argue if you have great marketing, well, maybe your product doesn't need to be that good. I don't play that way. I think it has to be both, and I think keeping up and keeping that balance is key going forward. I see, like you said, videos, very important. I think people want that interaction. They want to know who John is. They want to know who Mel is. They want to know who Derrick and Sam and Austin and whoever else is here. But what are you guys? Why do I want to buy FALKOR? Why would I even want to go to your IG page or your Facebook page or even listen to you guys? I think we have to tell that story.
Absolutely.
And it's not easy. It takes time. It takes commitment. Of course, it takes money. And it takes talent. And when you have all of that, then I think you have a chance here.
You got a really good recipe. And of course, over the next 6 months, I think you'll see tremendous changes here and continue to see some not only self-development, but I think some business development and make huge strides in the direction that we want to go in. It's all kind of growing towards what would be, amidst this transition, our first SHOT Show with a full transition and with a clean slate and kind of a reorg and a redevelopment. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited, so much so that I'm talking about SHOT Show every day, and it's not even, it's barely August. I'm already up on the board. I'm already in people's faces. I'm already talking about numbers. I'm already breaking things down. I'm already flipping tables over, looking for parts under the tables. So, I think it's a lot about understanding each other and understanding how each other work and tick and continue to move forward as we continue to learn, how things function in this building. And that's just something that just doesn't happen overnight. So we're figuring all that out, and we're trying to deliver you guys an inside peek, and using things like social media and using things like podcasts. I was really excited about this, doing these podcasts and YouTube lives and things like this, because I felt like it would give folks a tremendous insight into all the things that we were trying to do. And I felt like it was a better way to get our message out there and to have the conversations and the dialogue that I thought made sense. And I think going forward, people are going to be really excited to see some of the guests we have on, some of the people we'll be working with. As we said, we have Mikey Coonahan, No Donuts, here in all his handsomeness in the studio tomorrow. He's much better looking than me. I am short, fat, and Italian, and that's no way to go through life. But I think he's going to be, giving us some insight in the NYPD and look at our standard. And, I think having those guys in is invaluable. And I think when it's all said and done and when it's written over the next 6-8 months, and Derrick and I were talking about this a bit, you guys did a great job of this, but it wasn't documented on the level that you were doing it. I think we're going to document it on a great level. Let's get more people to Kalispell. Let's get more people out here. Let's get some people up here to see what we're doing. Does that mean we're going to have 20 guests a year through the building? No. But I think it's important to have some folks come and do this and kind of have this back and forth and get the story out there. I mean, you guys have rubbed elbows with some awesome folks. And if you had this platform a year ago or 2 years ago, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
Amazing.
just to be able to do this and rap with people and hang out. So I'm all jacked up about it. I mean, you know, I don't need any more pre-workout or coffee. I'm ready to go. So, you know, I think it's going to be awesome. You know, I want to wrap by, you know, kind of thanking you. I know it won't be the last time you're on. You're in the building. We're going to have you on more. You know, I thank you for your friendship and your leadership and the time that you spend with me, kind of educating me on how your brain ticks and the direction you want to go. And even being around your family and your dad and hearing their story has been tremendously helpful for me in kind of understanding, you know, Sonju and, you know, the company and just everything that's gone on has been surreal for me. And it's a lot of data. They say be a sponge. I got to be like a sponge, a loofah, and everything in between. You know, it's a lot to take in, and I think I can count on one hand how many pure days off I've taken because I just enjoy it. There are days where I need kind of like, hey, Jason, I need a mental health day, but I just enjoy it. But for the most part, I thank you both, Melinda and Jason, for the time and getting to come in here and kind of put my stamp on things, and it's been tremendous. So thank you for that. And I want to thank everybody who put this podcast together and everybody in the building while I have you on. Is there anybody you want to throw thanks to or what you want to say?
Well, of course, my wife, Melinda, she's sitting over here. You know, giving her the opportunity for me to come in here to do what I want to do. And of course, my team. You know, without a team, none of this happens. And, you know, it's much appreciated. You know, sometimes I don't say it enough, but there isn't one night I don't go home and say my prayers and thank the good Lord for what he's done and what he's enabled me to do, the people he surrounds me with. And, of course, you know, my family, my immediate family. None of this would have ever been here. Former employees, you know, all of it. No, I'm very thankful, very blessed. And, you know, I'll be on here, like you said, occasionally here and there when you need me. Of course, you know, thank you for all you've done and, you know, doing a great job on the podcast and all the things behind the scenes. I don't think anyone can appreciate all the stuff that happens and all the shit we have to go through on a daily basis. But, you know, that's with any business. But, again, you know, I just want to thank everyone around me, and I'll end it at that.
Yeah, no, and again, you know, it's been a great ride here so far, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter. So it's great to have Jason on. It's great to have kind of Melinda listening and taking the time. One of the benefits, you said you don't say it enough to the team. You guys actually do say it every 2 weeks in our paycheck, so I thank you for that. So you don't have to say it verbally, but the paycheck shows up. And every time it clears, I say, thank you, Melinda and Jason. But appreciate you guys and all that stuff. So hopefully we'll continue to bring you guys all the stuff that you're looking for. I thank Sam Cummins. Sam, anything to add? Did I miss anything? Any questions?
No, I'd also like to add my thanks for the gainful employment, Melinda and Jason.
Oh, you're welcome.
We could use a few extra PTO days. But we're looking forward to SHOT Show, and Jason and I have a couple of dates coming up. We will be in Miami Saturday through Wednesday. We may or may not be on a range with Tony Sentmanat of Real World Tactical. We will strictly be supervising, but we will be sweating in supervising. I will be on the range RSO, and Jason will be going over some product details and some stuff. We'll be with Breakthrough Clean, our good friends there, Eric Navarro, so we'll be hanging out, spending some time, getting a little sun. It's kind of the last sun before we're in the darkness of Kalispell, Montana for a while, so we get to get a little bit of sun. So I'm excited about that. We will be hopefully figuring out whether or not we're going to be at the Live Free or Die shoot, which is in September. We're working on the details for that, but I just want to throw a shameless plug out there for the Live Free or Die shoot in New Hampshire, in Keene, New Hampshire, hosted by Freedom Hill Gear and a good friend of ours from Sports South, Robin Oak, so I appreciate what he does. And thank you, Derrick Mitchell. Did we miss anything, D. Mitchell?
Subscribe, like, hit the bell.
Subscribe, like, and hit the bell, he said. So make sure if you're on YouTube, you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, like it, subscribe, listen, pay attention, follow along, comment. Leave something. If you have questions, if you want to hear any questions answered, we will be coming to you live tomorrow with Mikey Coonahan at No Donuts here, first form athlete and NYPD officer. Awesome dude, great dude. Looking forward to having an interview with him. If you have questions for Mike, please don't hesitate to chime in and ask them. Austin, did I miss anything? You're over there just sitting looking good.
Live at 10:30 tomorrow.
The live is at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, I'm getting told from my producer. Anything, Austin?
Time zone, that's in Mountain Standard. So East Coast, that'll be noon.
Mountain. Mountain, 10:30 Mountain. We got to work on that. We're going to get something up. I know Austin's working feverishly to get me a graphic right now. So we're going to wrap. It's been tremendously awesome. Thank you to Wicked Cuts. Thank you to FALKOR Defense. Thank you to everybody in the Dragon's Lair. We appreciate you, and we will be coming to you live from the Dragon's Lair tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.